All right, so today we're going to get right into it. Now, something that I hung up a few days ago or a couple of weeks ago was this picture. And this is just a little picture that I found at an estate sale. And I just glued it directly onto the wall because it's kind of the right size for a dollhouse. Now, everything I'm putting in here, this to me needs to be aged a little. So I will do that later. Like if there's anything in here that's not been aged, it'll get aged at some point. Um, but I just keep adding stuff and I just don't always age it right away, but it will eventually. But I'm trying to fill up the wall space with some artwork. So again, that one just seemed to be the right size for a dollhouse. It's not made for a dollhouse, but it was just like a little painting. And I just thought it was really cute. Now these right here, I just printed this off at the Walmart on the little, at the picture printer kiosk. And I just actually shrunk down 4 paintings and put them on one page so that they would come out kind of smaller. Now these are actual pictures from the cartoon, paintings that were hanging in, different episodes of the cartoon. I don't even really know who these characters are except for this one. This is Captain Cutler, and he is in the episode that has this little scuba diver character. And this painting, I'm going to post a picture here somewhere on the screen of the picture in the movie or in the cartoon. But this one here is actually one that I painted to look like this one. And this exact one right here that I'm holding is just a copy of the one I painted, which is like a replica of the one from the cartoon. Now, the reason why I painted that, which I'll show the actual painting, it's a really big painting that I've got here in my collection. And I painted that as a replica from the cartoon because, like I mentioned before, I do a lot of cosplay. And sometimes when I cosplay, I go as far as decorating an entire room to look like a set from that whatever show or movie I'm trying to replicate. So I had painted that just as a prop in some of my pictures. But anyway, this is a little mini version of it. And I'm going to just cut these out and make little frames to go around them. And obviously this Captain Cutler picture will go in this room because that's where I'm going to have the little scuba diver. And even, again, I've showed this, but just to remind you, I've got some little seashells right here on the shelf. And I'm going to try to go with sort of a nautical theme. It ain't going to be over the top nautical, but it's going to have a few little things here and there just to make it look like it could go with that episode. Now I've got them cut out, and I had this little bit of wood, so I went ahead and made one out of wood, and then the others I've just cut out of this little thin cardboard, and I painted the inside lip black. Of course, the rest of it will get painted brown or gold or whatever color I want my frame. And the reason I painted that inside piece black is hoping that that'll just give it a little more depth, to look a little deeper, or like the frame might be a little thicker. I don't know if that'll really give that illusion or not. I just thought since the frames are so thin, maybe that little black in there would give it a little more shading or something. But I found it's easier when you're making a frame, just cut it out like this instead of trying to piece it together like that. And then I took this little, kind of like a little ice pick, and I just I laid something down so I'd have a guideline from like corner to corner, and I just kind of scar it like that just to give it, so it's not just flat. Like right here on the back, it's flat, and then on this side, it has that little crease to make it look like, two pieces actually coming together. So I'll just get these painted up and then figure out what room to put which painting. Now, of course, this one's going to go, I've got that one planned already. I'm going to try to have like an actual little mystery to solve. I got to come up with, some sort of an idea. Maybe they're trying to find a clue and we got to hide little clues around in the house. But he'll be pointing toward a clue because I'm going to have to rewatch this episode and see why this painting is pointing like he is, because I know he had to be pointing towards something. I know that had to be a clue in the movie or the cartoon, so I'm going to have to watch that one over. But anyways, that's how simple that was. It's just cutting those out, and I'm kind of thinking about making one like this for this one also, because again, I'm going to have to like individually piece that together. And with my picture frames, I don't get fancy, with like fancy frames. I just do simple square frames, nothing fancy at all. I mean, I could probably glue things to this before I paint it just to make it look like some sort of wood carvings or something. Um, and I might do that. I'm going to put these to the side for right now. I'm not going to do them right this minute, but if I think of something I might can do to add detail, I may do that. But right now, I'm going to start working on Fred, so I'm going to pull out some fabrics to make his little outfit. For the fabric, we've got this white. That is like the whitest I could find because his outfit is pretty basic. It's just 3 colors. So we got the white for his shirt. I had to go pick up some blue because I looked and looked and looked, could not find any blue, so I had to go buy that. And then I've got this little fancy silky orange for his ascot. So I've decided to go back to the frames, but I want to show Fred so far because I've got his shoes painted. And again, like in the Shaggy video, I painted Shaggy's shoes with fingernail polish, and that was absolutely perfect. I mean, that did not disappoint. I think I had a couple people actually that recommended fingernail polish. Um, and I mean, that is just like the greatest idea. I don't know why I never thought of that, but I am so thankful that y'all recommended that. And anyway, there's the color for Fred's little shoes. My mama, thank God for mamas and sisters and nieces that, love to paint their nails because I have had the most perfect colors for these shoes. The Scooby Gang has very colorful shoes. And so there's Shaggy's got black. Fred has these yellow ones, and that's like the perfect shade of yellow. And then I went ahead, I'm not going to do these in this video, but I went ahead and done Velma and Daphne. So I just had the perfect colors. And I thought since I was doing shoes and all the girls had their nail polish here, I was going to just get them all done at once so that I could get their nail polish back to them. But anyways, I got that done. And now I'm going to finish up the frames. I decided I wanted to make these gold. And so anytime you paint with gold or even silver paint, you always want to paint like a base coat with black. I used to do the thing where, when I was first painting and making things, a lot of people, and I've seen this before, I used to think that if you're going to paint something silver, you want to paint it gray first, or if you're going to paint it gold, you might want to paint it yellow first, but that's not true. Some people just go straight up with the gold or the silver, but just a little tip, if you do use gold or silver, you want to do a black base coat because it just really makes the silver and gold pop more. And it seems like it goes on better and you don't have to do so many layers. And I don't know why that is, but black just does really good as a base coat for those 2 colors. All right, so here's what it looks like with the frame around it, and I'll probably age it up a little bit later. But this is actually, I had to look up these characters. This is, I think, the lighthouse keeper from the episode called Lighthouse Keeper Scooby. And so that's who that is. And then this one is Jefferson Stillwell. It just sounds so southerny, like Jefferson Stillwell. But that's who that is. And he, of course, is going down here in the other room. And again, I think I told this one, this is Captain Cutler. And he's going down in this other room. And then the other little guy was I think his name's Mario the Phantom. and he is from an episode called A Menace in Venice, I think. So that's who that other one was. And then once I get them all glued in, we will check them out later in the pictures at the end of the video. But now we're going to get back to Shaggy, or not Shaggy. Why did I say Shaggy? I got Shaggy on the brain. Fred. I'm sitting here looking at the Shaggy. So anyway, let's get back to Fred. All right, so here's my little outfit that I've got cut out. And again, I don't have patterns. I just kind of hold it up, and I just, being an experienced sewer and making costumes, I just kind of know how to make, cut things out. But these are just cut, and after I cut them, I sprayed them. Well, I sprayed them before I cut them out, but I sprayed them with spray Mod Podge, hoping that it will help keep it from fraying. And that's what I did on Shaggy. And I don't think I used enough because he kind of frays a little bit. But I've got this sprayed a lot heavier, and it's a little bit stiff, but it's still pliable. And as I'm gluing this on, I want to just make sure I don't handle it too much, especially down here at the bottom where I'm not wanting it to fray. Because in miniatures, it's just hard to put a seam, with, you can't get a stitch in miniature. I mean, a stitch is a stitch in human size, or you know what I mean. So I try not to even put any stitching in my outfits, or that's going to show. Um, so anyways, I'm going to glue his little outfit on here. Um, and if you do clothing, if you try to copy my ideas of clothing, and you're putting them on and just gluing them on piece by piece, always remember to put your sleeve on first. And I may show this here in a second once I get some of it glued on, but you want to do your sleeve first, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Because once you put, once you put this little top over it, it's just going to cover it much neater. See the shoulder there? It's kind of hard to tell, but instead of having the sleeve over the top, you want your sleeve under the top. But you can kind of see that. It's just sort of, it's so bright it's hard to tell it. But anyway, always put your sleeves on first, and then just like with this, the pants, I always put that little part there on first, the little crotch part, and then put the legs on. And then it just gives it a nice look once it's all comes together. But this is just such an easy way to do doll clothes in miniature, because I just don't have the patience to sew little tiny clothes. It's just so hard to sew on a sewing machine. So the sleeves are glued on, and what I like to do, well, they're not glued on, but they're just glued around. So what I like to do now is pull them up where you want them, and then I always make like a little split, like two little splits right at the top. And then I just glue that middle. All right, let me focus it. All right, so I always glue that middle down like that. And then once that's down, you can just kind of fold these others down and glue those, which it's just real fidgety. This is such a fidgety little thing. I mean, I do this much better when I'm not trying to put this camera between us, but it's just real easy. Once you learn to just, piece it on there, it goes pretty easily. But you just want to fold them shoulders down, and then I'll place the top on it. So that's kind of how that looks. And you can kind of glue it down like that, and then after the glue dries, you can like loosen it from his shoulder so that you can still have articulation in there, and if you want to move it easily. But I don't usually care if I can pose them or not. I mean, I just like to make sure it's all together good. And once you put that little top over there, I just slid that right down over his head. I glue the back down, like I just tuck it around here under the arm, glue it down. I do the back first so that these two side flaps here will glue down and go towards the back where you don't really see a seam. So that's how that comes together, and it looks pretty darn cute. Um, what's really going to make this is getting his collar on there, because that's such an iconic part of Fred's outfit. And then it helps to have these tiny little tweezers like this, because as you can see, I can kind of poke that sleeve under there, like if it starts to come out, because that glue ain't completely dry. So it just helps to, have these little tweezers handy. All right, so I've got it to this point, and I've just very fidgetily put that collar on there. And then you just seen me dab a little glue on the collar. And then I'm going to take this little band here and like try to poke that under there. Don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if I like it. I don't think that's where it needs to go, actually. All right, forget that. What am I doing? Okay. All right, I got to check the collar. Now, there's going to be something that I'm going to do here later. I don't know what I was doing right there. Just forget that. What am I doing? All right, let me cut something out here. All right, so I pulled that back because this little ascot needs to be under the collar. So I'm going to do this and then put a little bit of glue there and put the collar back kind of over that. See, it's just so fidgety though. It's like it's wanting to move around. But then I'm going to try to do that. And I hope that's focused. I think it is. So I'm just going to sit here and hold this till that kind of dries. So I finally got that done. And like I said, it's very fidgety. So I had to just, chill out and get it done. But I finally got it done. And what I'm going to do is to clean up his pants. You can sort of see that glue on there. I'm just going to lightly go with this stiff brush with a little bit of water, and that will kind of smooth that out and make that look better. And then let me grab this little brush here real quick. Got a tiny little brush. Like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to take this tiny brush and go around where that collar meets the shirt, and I'm going to go where the sleeve meets the shirt, and then just down here on the seam of the pants, just with a little bit of Mod Podge to just help glue that back, or to glue that together a little bit stronger. And then I'm going to paint the hair with that same yellow nail polish, because right now it looks like an imposter. It's like, who is this dark-headed guy with Fred's outfit? So I'm going to paint that and do all that I just said, and then we'll glue his hair on and check him out, and we'll get another look at some of the stuff that I did inside the house. All right, so it totally looks better already just getting it painted, but of course I still want to put the actual hair on it. So here's what he's looking like right now. All right, now here's what we're looking like right now. And obviously I got to give him a haircut. But after seeing how well Shaggy had turned out, I feel pretty confident that I can manage that wild hair to look more like Fred. So that's what I'm going to work on. And then once I get him trimmed up, we will check him out and see how it all looks. So anyway, just of course I like showing all these little steps as I do them, and I just think he looks I think he looks pretty nice right now. Actually, I may leave it like that, but no, I don't think I will. But anyway, let me get him trimmed up and we'll check it out. All right, before we're done, I have gone in here with Mod Podge and I'm just painting that on, and I'm using a little bit of water to just kind of help make sure it kind of seeps down in there. And it's just another one of those little fidgety things where you just have to keep adding, a little bit more of each until you just really coat it really good. Now, before I did this, if there was any little stray hairs, I got most of them with the scissors, but then I even singed away some of the small ones. But that's a really dangerous thing. You want to be really careful if you try that, and you might even want to try it on something else before you do the doll so you don't mess up your doll. All right, so here's what Fred looks like, and I actually like it better than I thought because at first I was having a hard time getting that hair to do what I wanted it to do. Um, and then there was still something I didn't like about him. His eyes were really blue, and you'll see that in the pictures that I took because I took some of those pictures before I painted his eye. It's like he had a blue iris and a blue pupil, and I thought something didn't seem right about that. And of course, pupils are black, so I gave him the black pupil, and it made it look a little bit more normal, and I guess maybe a little more real. So that helped that a lot. And then, of course, his little prop, as you can see, I gave him a rope because he's always using ropes to make traps and things. So that's what his little prop is. And I'm going to bring Shaggy in for a minute because I didn't really show what I used for his little prop. It's just one of these little sandwiches that I had that you saw in one of the earlier videos. That's what his little prop will be. I was going to make it this little lantern, but then I've decided to use this for somebody else later. But that's kind of cute. You know, I guess anybody can hold it really, but that's going to be for one of the other characters later. And then, of course, Scooby Doo, his little prop is the box of Scooby snacks. So, of course, I always like putting a little prop with them or a little accessory. So, anyways, I hope you have enjoyed this video. But no, wait, let me see. There is actually, whoops, there's actually one more thing I wanted to mention now. Last year, when I did Hocus Pocus, it was the 30th anniversary. And then what's sort of weird about all the things I'm working on now is like Scooby Doo is having their, I think it's the 55th anniversary. Willy Wonka is having a 60th anniversary. Now, that's not for the movie, that's for the book. And then The Wizard of Oz is having the 85th anniversary. So I thought, what a weird coincidence. It seems like everything I'm making is having an anniversary. So I just, figured that out a couple weeks ago and I kept meaning to mention that, but I keep forgetting it. But, anyways, um, I may mention that again in the other videos, like mentioning that in the Wizard of Oz series and the Willy Wonka videos. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and just please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, so here's where we are. Now, this is a good look at what I've done so far. Here's the 4 characters I've done. Now, focusing on the house, it just looks so good. Now, I did get this the other day. I thought that was going to be for Shaggy. It's just like a little lantern. I'm going to actually repaint that and age it up and use it for another character later. But I bought that the other day. And then I'm going to try to crank up the camera without like making it jump around too much. So here's how the house is looking. Now oh yeah, you're seeing one of the pictures here after I got it hung up. I did go around it just a little bit with some darker paint and just kind of dry brushed it on there a little around the edges just to make it look old and like it had been hanging there a while, and collected some dirt. And whoops, that goes right there. And then, of course, he's pointing. And there's going to be more to it than this. There's our little secret passageway. There's one of our characters there, the little ape man. And then, of course, down here we have Captain Cutler. Now, I'm going to repaint that and do more with that later. And then up here is the bathroom, the bedroom, the hallway. Now, I just am so crazy about the grandfather clock. That looks so much better than what was there before. The bedroom looks pretty good. And just a little reminder, In here, we've got the Scream face. That's kind of cute. That may be the room where I put Shaggy, since Shaggy, the actor, played in the Scream movies. But one thing I really love about this is most of it, the colors. I got to post a picture here because if you notice the backgrounds in Scooby Doo, they're just really dark and crudely painted, which is why I have just really crudely painted the walls in here and put little scuff marks all over. You know, if you just notice some of those details, and I'm going to post that picture so you can sort of see how some of those backgrounds are, and I'll flash some more of those at the end of the video, along with pictures of these rooms so that you can sort of tell how they resemble the cartoon. But what I love is, like, back down here, some of these props that I'm going to have for the characters are like some of the most colorful stuff. Even when most of it's kind of muted and not really bright, like Scooby's box is a bright color. And then as you see, like just like in the cartoon, the characters are bright and colorful, and they just add a pop of color to those gloomy and dark backgrounds. And that's just how this dollhouse is kind of doing. The characters really pop and look so good, and I just think it's really starting to resemble the cartoon more with all the detail I'm putting in here. And then up in here, I'm trying to do some spider webs, which I'm going to work on that and add some more. And that's actually just polyfill. Polyfill is what you like stuffed pillows or stuffed animals with. But also, when I was doing Fred's hair, some of this extra hair, like if I did this in white, that would make some pretty good spider webs. So that would be good to do some of this in white and just use the yarn. So that's something I can do. That'll be like the last thing that I add. So I'm not worried about putting too many in here right now. All right, now I'm going to take the camera and go up here back to the attic, because this is where we have the ghost. This is where our little ghost is going to hang out. And then up here in the very top, if you missed it, let me get my light. That's where the bats are. It's hard to hold my camera steady, but I'm going to add a few more things up here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but that's where we are so far.